back in January of 2015, well before he broke out. And I told everybody, make sure you start looking into this guy, adding this guy. He's going to break out. He made me look really good. He made himself look really good too, but he made me look really good with that projection. So I'll always be forever indebted to Jose De Leon for that. He is MLB.com's 33rd overall prospect. He's the number 2 guy in the Dodgers system, according to them, and the number 8 pitcher overall. He's a little older for a prospect because he did go the college route, and he's somewhat of a late bloomer. He'll be 25 in August, but he's moved quickly through the system, definitely quickly through the minors. As Ralph has mentioned in previous episodes, the Dodgers usually do a good job with their prospects. He's had some DL stints, some minor setbacks, nothing majorly, concerning, nothing really arm related. He's an extreme strikeout pitcher. He gets knocked as being somebody that might give up too many home runs, especially now that he's moved away from his 2-seam fastball and concentrated mostly exclusively on his 4-seamer. But if you look at his numbers, I mean, this guy has better numbers than both of the 2 pitchers we've already talked about. His career K per 9 is well over 11. His walks are, I believe, in the 2 range, 2 per 9. I mean, the guy's numbers are insane across the board, and that is all the way through AAA. The only stumble he really took was upon his promotion to the majors, where it really didn't go that well at all. And I'll be the first to admit, I'm sure he will as well. But that is not who he is to me. We like to talk about, we mentioned this with Austin Hedges. I think it was I said this with Austin Hedges. You said this with another player, I forgot now, but there are quad A players, and there are, guys that just need to figure it out. I think he's a guy that needs to figure it out, and I definitely think he will. I'm fully versed in him. I'd love to talk to anybody all day about Jose De Leon, but I want to hear some of Ralph's thoughts on him because he's not somebody I really hear you talk too much about, and I think he's a underrated stud, is what I think he is.
Yeah. And I just did my Dodgers write-up, back in December, and I had him ranked as the number 2 prospect in the Dodgers system. Or maybe it was number 3 because I really like Willie Calhoun, but I'm just a hitter over a pitcher guy. But I think you hit the nail on the head with De Leon. He was a late bloomer. He was a 24th round pick by the Dodgers out of Southern. You probably haven't even heard of that school, but if you have, good for you. And he was an out of shape guy. He had to sort of work on his physique. He's done that. He's slimmed down. He was chubby. Now he's sort of a strong, bigger guy. I mean, he's not totally ripped. He's not super tall or anything like that, but he's molded his physique into that of a starting pitcher in the major leagues. He led all the minors in K per 9 back in 2015. Started the season off last year hurt, but when he showed up in AAA in the PCL, which is a great hitting environment, I mean, probably in terms of leagues, the Cal League and the PCL are probably your 2 best hitting, leagues in all the minors. They're just littered with hit parks, and De Leon dominated. I mean, he was nasty. And if it hadn't been for, 25-man, 40-man roster concerns with De Leon and all the amount of players that they had to have in the DL, hopefully, I was hoping he would have been up in LA a lot sooner than he was. It seemed like they almost waited too long, and he was probably pretty tired by that point in the season. So I'm going to throw out everything he did in the majors. I do think he's a legit major league starter. You got to love the fastball. He misses a ton of bats. Another thing I think is underrated about him is he scouts a lot of these other prospect riders. They love curveballs. They love sliders. There's a great changeup. And that matters in the majors. And that matters in terms of missing bats and keeping players off balance. He also spins a slider as well. That's, average, a little bit more fringy. But the changeup is plus. And obviously the fastball is plus plus. And he works off of those 2 pitches, and he's able to miss bats. He does throw the slider, to his glove side off the plate, and he is effective with that as well. So he has some out pitches, but I think that makes a big difference in terms of how many bats he misses. And that's the thing I want to focus on with De Leon, because the strikeout numbers are awesome. And that's what I chase when it comes to pitchers in fantasy leagues. I want guys that miss bats. I want guys that get me strikeouts, because everything sort of falls in line after that. If you want true fantasy ace players, there's a difference between a Max Scherzer and a Cueto, even if their ERAs are similar, whips are similar, wins are similar. Max is going to have all those strikeouts, and that's a big differentiator for you. And I think that's what De Leon offers. The problem is, where does he fit into the Dodgers' plans this season? He's one of those guys that I almost hope the Dodgers make a trade and he ends up getting moved someplace that's a relatively good pitching environment and all those sort of things, because he needs to get a shot. He's 24. Like you said, he's going to be 25 next season. He hasn't been, waiting in the minors all that long. He's been sort of developing himself. He puts in the work. I don't see any reason that he can't reach your really high upside. It's maybe like a number 2 starter on your fantasy team, probably in real life as well. Don't think he's an ace, but damn it, I wish the Dodgers would get rid of Kazmir and McCarthy and some of these guys and get De Leon into that rotation behind Urias, and let's see what happens for the next 5 years,
Yeah, the Dodgers have a ton of options of moves they could make. I don't know that De Leon is one that they want to give up on. I was mentioning that, his big knock right now will be his home run rate, or the home runs he's given up. And that is because when he came into the majors, it was pretty bad. It was, his average was 3.5 per 9 he was giving up. But at no point in his career had it been above one homer per 9. So it's never been an issue for him. I think people are going to be overreacting if that's a number they're going to look at for him as a pro. This, to me, is a tremendous buy low opportunity and window for a guy that really does have true potential to be a number 2 guy in fantasy and in real life. And somebody that owns him now in a dynasty league particular might be scared and think, well, maybe this isn't a major league pitcher. Maybe he just had inflated minors numbers. Let me try to, max out on him and get something while I can before, he's a waiver wire dump or something like that. I'd be looking to target De Leon in any league I play in, just because the upside is still there, the value is still there, and you might be able to get away with a lukewarm offer, which would put him, undervalued in that scenario based on somebody being scared. And in redraft leagues, he's somebody that should be on your radar for this year as well, towards the end of your drafts, as a flyer guy, as a late arm to add, because the upside is there as soon as this year. He's young, but he's not young. He's physically mature, and he's in his wheelhouse right now, in his prime, entering his prime for a pitcher. So if he's going to get the starts in the majors, he's going to be productive. And as Ralph was saying, as I've been saying, he's an extreme strikeout pitcher, and those are always a valuable thing in fantasy.